You are listening to the Manument Podcast. My name is Casey, and I'm here with my buddy Glenn Johnson, investment advisor and founder of Jabez Financial right here in the Uncasville area. In every episode, he is here to break down today's biggest retirement worries and headlines for us. You know, I love to talk a little sports with you when I can, and today we're going to talk a little baseball. We know the Dodgers took the World Series last month, and there was a lot of attention on LA's Shohei Otani. He is a great pitcher who can also hit, which is very unique in the game of baseball. And what's also unique is how Otani is being paid. He has deferred a lot of his salary until later, and here's how it kind of breaks down. He's only getting $2 million a year from the Dodgers right now, but he's getting paid $100 million in his endorsement deals. Not too shabby. And the Dodgers can now hire more players because they have more salary cap space because of this, and Otani will get the bulk of his money later in his career or after he is finished playing. So this was kind of fascinating to me, Glenn, and I wanted to talk to you about this setup and ask if deferment is a concept that can also work in our retirement planning.
Oh, absolutely, Casey, because in cases like that where most of your earned income is, in his case, millions of dollars a year, and that comes to an end when they stop playing. So you're kind of forced to defer some of that income. And on a smaller scale, we kind of do that when we're putting money away for retirement. So we take a reduction in our pay now, and we set money aside for a future date. And whether we're using investment vehicles like IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, or deferred comp plans, and there's a number of others, the idea is set something aside now so that you have it later. And there's no one investment account or product out there that solves all these problems for everybody. So it's important to know whenever you go into an investment, you don't want to go into it without an exit strategy. If I'm going into this, when do I realize my return? When do I get my principal back? When do I see the benefits of sacrificing this income now? And that's what we like to do when we put together this retirement roadmap, is we allocate specific assets to produce income at specific times. And it's a matter of allocating money in different buckets, using different vehicles for an expected return when it's needed most.
You know, it's interesting to me how Otani's contract, it doesn't just benefit him, but it also gives the Dodgers more room to play with their roster right now. And it makes me wonder, can we use a similar strategy when it comes to our retirement planning? Is there a way to defer some of our income so that we not only help our future selves, but we are also managing our taxes or our cash flow better today? How does deferring income work for folks who want more flexibility in their retirement plan?
Right. Well, and that's where a lot of times for years, people would use, in addition to their pension, Social Security, or 401k, they would make additional contributions each year to a traditional IRA. The benefit there being we're reducing our taxable income now, let the money grow tax deferred, and we don't have to pay income taxes on any of it until you go to take it out. So that type of tax management works. Then later on, the Roth IRA came about, where after-tax money goes into it, and as it grows, when you go to take it out, there's no tax consequences when you take it out. When looking at the different types of vehicles of, do I need to have the reduction of my taxes this year, or am I going to need to have the reduction of my taxes once I retire? Because the idea was behind traditional IRAs, well, you're not making as much money in retirement, so you might as well pay the taxes then. Well, we all know that's not always true. Now we find people that are in equal or sometimes even higher tax bracket when they retire. So the Roth IRA has been worked out to be a better vehicle for them. Now, in my experience, here's what I've found. Usually, there needs to be some kind of balance between traditional money and Roth money. And then after somebody retires, between their retirement date and when they turn 73 and they have to start taking their required minimum distributions, that's usually the best window of opportunity for Roth conversions. Now keep in mind, when deferring income, it's really a matter of making sure all my financial needs are met and my overall tax burden is limited as much as possible. And that does take some careful thought and some strategic planning. And this is why I invite you to give us a call at 860-288-9977 so we can start having a conversation around finding out how this may be of benefit to you. So if we pick a time to talk for 10 or 15 minutes, I could share with you some quick ideas and at least have an introduction. And the phone number again, it's easy to remember if you can remember the number 2. So it's 860-2, then 28-29-27. So 860-288-9977, and we hope to hear from you soon.
And just a reminder for you too, Glenn is right here in Connecticut, and I don't want you to miss your chance to connect with him. So that number again, it is 860-288-9977. Remember, it is just a phone conversation to start you out. There is no pressure. There is no obligation. So that number again, it's 860-288-9977, or you can always visit us at jabezfinancial.com. That's Jabez, Jabez. You just click on the contact tab over there on the top right. You fill out your info, and we will be happy to reach out to you, and we can get connected that way. 860-288-9977 or online at jabezfinancial.com. All right, I want to keep this sports theme going, Glenn, and I said we were going to learn from a couple of sports legends today. So next, I want to chat about the legendary Michael Jordan. It's kind of hard to believe, but 22 years ago, he retired from the NBA for the third and final time. Now, fast forward to last month, and his 1986 rookie card was just auctioned off for a record $2.7 million, Glenn. Yet, with all his fame and fortune, Jordan made this surprising confession to NBC Sports.
I haven't picked up a ball in years. I wish I could take a magic pill, put on shorts, and go out and play the game of basketball today. Because that type of competition, that type of competitiveness is what I live for, and I miss it. I miss that aspect of playing the game of basketball. Being able to challenge myself against what people see as great basketball.
Glenn, I was shocked to hear that he had not picked up a ball in years, and it kind of made me sad hearing this, but we know that this is true for so many retirees. You cannot buy back your feeling of purpose. But I wanted to ask you, what can you plan for when it comes to replacing that paycheck that goes away when somebody retires? Talk to me about your thoughts here, Glenn.
With every season in life, it brings with it a new purpose. And purpose isn't something that we choose on our own. It comes through divine assignment, and it's up to us to recognize it and essentially discover what it is through revelation. So purpose changes. And when Michael Jordan was in his prime for a long time and, winning championships and rings, and, that it was, I'll tell you that I really enjoyed watching him play then. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see it again. I'd love to see him step back on the court.
I think a lot of people would.
Yeah, right. And he's not the only one. And shoot, actually, not too long ago, Mike Tyson got back in the ring, and that was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of disappointing how things turned out, but that's all right.
It was expected.
Yeah. But as far as replacing a paycheck goes, he made many wise financial decisions. So his income hasn't gone down. His net worth has continued to climb year after year because he's made smart investment decisions. He knew that there was more financially to basketball than just basketball. Right. He assumed responsibility, and he made a lot of smart decisions with it. That's why I say we even have like a Michael Jordan's restaurant here at the casino down the street. So that's what we want to think about. We may love our job. I'll tell you, I love my career. I love doing this. But that doesn't mean I no longer have to make smart financial decisions. And that's what I like having a conversation about. I like talking with people to find out, well, what type of assets and investments do you want to find out about? Do you want to learn about? Because whatever assets it is that you accumulate over the years, it's up to you to understand how they work, how they perform, and have realistic expectations. And that doesn't come without requiring a financial education. So right. I've got clients that maybe their thing is real estate. So they've got, a bunch of income properties, and that's what they like managing. Or there's people that just want to play in the stock market, and that's it. And there's a strategy and a thought process that goes with that. So whether you want to be in the stock market, or you want to use annuities or just CDs or income properties or whatever it is that you're looking to use to provide income for your retirement, it's great to have a conversation about some ideas back and forth with somebody, and I can come alongside and work with you on this.
At the end of the day, retirement is a huge journey and one that requires careful and considerate planning. And your retirement journey starts with that initial 15-minute phone conversation with just you and Glenn talking on the phone. You can explain to him what questions you have, and then he can share with you information about how he and the team might be able to help you. So let's go ahead, put a time on the calendar for your initial 15-minute phone conversation with Glenn. This is a no-fee, no obligation initial conversation to share some info and get some ideas on how he and the team can best help you move forward. That number is 860-288-9977. If you're 5 to 10 years from retirement, this is where you're going to feel the benefits of the kind of planning that Glenn and the team do really take effect for you. So let's start the conversation with your initial phone call with Glenn. 860-288-9977 is that number to dial right now. We've got our teammates standing by off the air, ready to answer your call and help you put that time on the calendar. You can also go to jabezfinancial.com, click on the contact tab to begin with us that way as well, or call us right now. Let's put that time on the calendar, 860-288-9977, 860-288-9977. Now, Glenn, I saw this retirement advice this week, and I knew I had to get your thoughts on it. It comes from economist Alicia Munell. She is said to be one of the nation's experts on retirement. She's the director of the Center for Retirement Research up in Boston. And when asked what the key to a successful retirement is, she said, don't retire. Now, she admits her advice does not work for everyone due to health issues, but she insists that working as long as you can and getting the top Social Security payment means that you will have a shorter time to support yourself. So, Glenn, what do you think of this? Tell me your thoughts here.
Well, I guess the longer you work, the less time you have to pay for when you're not working. So it makes sense. But so there's the financial component of just continuing to work and you're producing more. So that's good. But when I talk to people about retirement, I kind of prefer the term becoming financially independent, which is not, there's no age limit or requirement for financial independence. And thinking about retirement, if I can as we become more and more financially independent, we can then retire from doing the things that we don't want to do anymore. And that's really what we're looking forward to. I think, generally speaking, people want to continue being productive as long as they possibly can. Nobody just really wants to sit and do absolutely nothing. No, very few people are looking forward to that. And the people that really are looking forward to, I just want to do nothing, chances are they already are. So what we want to do is construct a life that we want to live. So if you want to travel, travel. If you want to take, if you want to take on vacations, go on vacations. If you want to work, work. If you want to spend time with your friends and family or grandchildren, do that. But the idea is when you wake up in the morning, are you in a position to financially afford being able to have the authority over every moment of the day? Are you where you want to be? And are you with whom you want to be with? Once we have financial independence and money doesn't dictate where we can go or who we can be with, that's the place we want to get to. And we don't have to wait. So when she's recommending the best way to retire is to not retire, well, for some people, that's spot on. And again, for others, no, it's not. Some people, they're working in careers and jobs that once was maybe really rewarding. And they when they woke up, they loved going to work, but they're not there anymore. Management has changed. Policies have changed. The infrastructure of how the companies run has changed, and the job just isn't what it used to be. We get to a point where we just kind of like, well, I wish things were different. I wish things didn't turn out the way they did. And that's when people start looking a little more closely into their retirement and thinking, well, you know what? As much as I've loved my career for the last 30 years, these last few years have been a real pain in the butt. Something's got to give. I like to have a conversation with people about how to have that exit strategy where you're not just leaving something that you once loved and now can't stand, but are you moving towards something that you really want to enjoy? So that's why I invite you to give us a call. Let's have a 15-minute conversation just over the phone by calling 860-288-9977. 9977. I'd love to hear about what you've been doing for a career and what are some of the concerns you have going forward. What are you looking forward to in retirement? And if there isn't something specific other than just wanting the pain to stop from going to work to work at a job that you don't want to be anymore, well, let's work that out. Let's get a way out. And when you see where you're headed and there's a plan mapped out for it, the pain just seems to dissipate. So give us a call at 860-288-9977. Let's see what you have to look forward to going forward.
Yes, if you are ready to get that conversation started, we are here. We are ready to help. We have got our teammates standing by at the office right now, ready to find you that next convenient time on the calendar, 860-288-9977. You can connect on the phone to start off, just you and Glenn. And this meeting, it is completely complimentary, no obligation. This is just a conversation. So I want you to take advantage while we've got these spots available. That number again, it's 860-288-9977. Or you can always head to jabezfinancial.com. That's Jabez, Jabez. Click on the contact tab, plug in your information, and somebody from the team will reach out to you shortly. 860-288-9977 or jabezfinancial.com if online's better for you. Now, Glenn, you often tell us that as we are nearing retirement, we should take our foot off the risk pedal in our portfolio. But at what age should we be considering this? Well, Morningstar's Christine Ben says this is something to think about after age 50.
When we look at the data on when people retire, when they think they'll retire relative to when they actually do retire, we see there's a disconnect that oftentimes people are thinking they will hang on longer than they are able to do or want to do. And so I think at age 50, you do want to start de-risking your portfolio a little bit, not altogether, because you could have 45 or more years where you are still going to be wanting to grow that portfolio. But as you move into sort of your late 50s, early 60s, I like the idea of building a bulwark of safer assets.
So, Glenn, I wanted to ask if you agree with that age timeline and what kind of safer assets can de-risk a portfolio. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, well, she's not wrong. In fact, if you look at the investment options that are provided within 401ks outside of the portfolio funds, 401ks are created to accumulate wealth over the long term. Right. And the closer we get to retirement, yes, that's when we're supposed to start scaling back our risk exposure. And it's not just because of our age or retirement. It has to do with when you're going to start taking income from the investments. For example, if you're even in your 30s and you're saving up for a car, you don't buy some stocks to save up for a car that you're going to be taking out in the next 12 months. No, you use a savings account. Even or a CD or something simple. So even if you're young, you'll use a very safe investment if you're going to be taking the money out within the next year or two for a specific reason, right? So that's why savings accounts are important when you're younger. As you're moving closer to retirement, the reason why you want to scale back your risk exposure is because you're going to be making withdrawals that much sooner. And the government's well aware of this, and that's why many 401k plans, almost all of them rather, allow for what's called in-service rollovers. So once you're age 59 and a half, you're still working, but the 401k plans allow for people that are still currently working at the company to take their money out of their 401k and roll it into an IRA, an individual retirement account, where they can choose more suitable investment allocations because they're going to be taking income that much sooner. So when we separate money in different buckets, okay, these dollars here are going to fund my first 5 years of retirement. This next bucket of funds is going to fund my next 5 years of retirement. And then these assets over here, I'm not going to be using for 10 years. Those dollars, based upon time risk, could afford to be exposed to more risk. When we map it out as to when you're going to be taking income from what assets, that's a contributing factor, just like your age. But we also don't want to neglect considering what our economic season is in. Are we in a secular bull? Are we in a secular bear? What do we expect the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years to look like economically? We have to know the environment that we're in as well. So there's lots of contributing factors to really determining what the most suitable allocation is for you. And it's really interesting what a small adjustment can make, the profound impact that it has on someone's assets just 3 or 4 years later. These decisions that we think are small have a tremendous impact down the road, which is why it becomes that much more important to be able to have a conversation with somebody that knows you personally and has the education on how these things work and can articulate them to you so that you understand it. That's why I love what I do so much, because it has such a profound impact. It improves people's quality of life in retirement so much. And a lot of times you don't necessarily see how much it has improved until you look back and you think, oh my gosh, I really dodged a bullet here.
And it's like we say too, every portfolio is different. Every situation is different. But if you're approaching retirement and you are wondering when to start de-risking your portfolio, you're asking the right question and you're not alone in wondering that. And Glenn is ready to help you strike the right balance between growth and preserving your income, whether you're in your 50s, your 60s, maybe you're already retired. There's no one size fits all answer, but there is a plan that can fit for you. And Glenn and the team can be the ones to help guide you there. So give us a call, 860-288-9977. That's how you reach us. Glenn is offering you his retirement projection completely complimentary today. This is just a phone conversation with Glenn to start you out so he can better understand what your specific situation is. 860-288-9977. We've got our Jabez teammates standing by off the air to find you that next convenient time on the calendar to set up that 15-minute phone call, 860-288-9977, or head to jabezfinancial.com. That's Jabez, J-A-B-E-Z. Click on the contact tab, and one of our teammates will be happy to reach out to you and get you all set up that way. That's 860-288-9977 or online at jabezfinancial.com. All right, Glenn, real quick before we go today, let's talk a little stock market volatility. The way we are seeing it right now can definitely rattle some nerves. So how can it affect someone who's within 5 years of retiring? Here is Morningstar's Amy Arnott.
As you get closer to 5 years before retirement, that's what a lot of financial advisors will call the retirement danger zone for sequence of returns risk. And that's the issue where if you have a couple of down years in the market, there's less time for your portfolio to recover before you retire and start taking portfolio withdrawals. So if you are in that 5-year window before you plan to retire, that's why it's definitely a good idea to start de-risking your portfolio and make sure you have some exposure to safer assets like cash and bonds, especially short-term to intermediate-term bonds.
But Glenn, many believe it's also important to keep some stocks in the market to generate income. So wanted to ask you, how do you find the balance for somebody nearing retirement? How does that usually work with your clients?
Well, she brought up something here that's so critically important, that sequence of returns risk. And it's something that a lot of financial advisors don't even bring up, especially if their primary business is asset management. Now, to bring up that sequence of returns risk, I had hired, oh my gosh, it probably took me 7 or 8 different computer tech people to create this program for me, which illustrates the sequence of return risk. So what that is, it talks about like if there's a couple down years or 1 down year or 2 down years in the beginning of retirement, the profound impact that has on the remaining retirement years, it's jaw-dropping. And a lot of times people think about it as with the perspective of, yeah, the market goes down for a couple of years, it'll come back. They're almost casual about it because they've seen dips before and it came back. But when you're retired and you're taking money out, and you're making withdrawals after the market took a dip, there is no recovering from that. And so this program that I have that I like to share with people illustrates this so clearly, that when you go from working to not working, when you're working, you're dollar cost averaging, you're putting money in the market every month, you're buying some at a high, you're buying some at a low, but the cost averages out over years. And what matters is the amount of time that you're in the market. It doesn't matter the sequence of returns at that point. But when you're making withdrawals, the overall projection of your cash flow matters significantly. And when we run these random illustrations, we can show people if they retire with $1 million, depending upon the sequence of returns, 20 years later, they still may have $1 million. If they're taking money 5% out every year, maybe they have $1.2 million. Maybe they went broke after 7 years. The outcome is drastic. The sequence of returns risk is something I'd love to go through with my clients to illustrate this. If you give us a call at 860-288-9977, I'd like to talk to you about how to minimize that risk so that when you're taking income out in retirement, you're never in a position to be forced to sell investments when they're at a low. Any investment you have, you should always have a time frame in mind that you can completely afford to have it recover, because you never want to have to pull out of the market when it's at a low.
Absolutely. Calling us right now, that's going to trigger this initial 15-minute phone conversation with just you and Glenn. It is a no-fee, no obligation conversation where you can talk about what you're concerned about. Perhaps talk about the things that you don't know to be concerned about. That's actually a really good question to ask. Hey, Glenn, I don't know what's going on with my savings. I don't know how much risk I have, and that's what worries me. I don't know what I don't know. So then he can explain to you what your options might be and how he and the Jabez team may be able to help you move forward. Again, that number to dial right now to set up your initial 15-minute phone conversation with Glenn is 860-288-9977, 860-288-9977. We've got our teammates standing by off the air, ready to answer your call and help you schedule a time for your no-fee 15-minute initial phone conversation. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Manument Podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts so that you never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Investment advisory services offered through Jabez Financial, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through Glenn Johnson, Connecticut Insurance, license number 4628409. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Jabez Financial, LLC. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Jabez Financial, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Jabez Financial, LLC is licensed in your state, please call 860-390-0093.